covering abides in death.
All right.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Love is the only ingredients that can revolutionize society. And we see society, but it'll never get right until we learn to love everybody. And this is a letter Paul is writing to the church in Corinth. And this church was set up by him. And Paul said this church was nothing. Imagine in a church, and God says nothing. And you've been in that church all your life. See, the church ain't the building. Let's get this right. See, that's us. And you've been in the church all your life. You ever been in a church and you got there and the urge you have a sour face? Have you been in a church? Nobody wanted to move down the next seat. Have you seen some ushers get angry at you because you said, I want to sit up in that next row? Okay, come on. Have you seen that? Now that is a church that has no love. Now Paul said it's in this church because Paul talks about this church. And look what was in this church now. This seemed like a church you would want to be. It had all the spiritual gifts. The church was financially stable. All the ministry was up. It was a fivefold ministry church. They had prophets in this church, Paul said. They had the gift of faith in this church, Paul said. The church, they had the gift of healing in this church. Now, who wouldn't want to be in a church where you can get healed? They gave to the poor in this church. The praise dances, Miss Myers, was great in this church. The choir young man was awesome in this church. The preacher was great in this church. Pastor, they had great sermons in this church. But there was no love in the church. There was no love. Other words, the preacher was just a sounding praise. He was preaching good songs. And the choir was making a lot of noise. But it wasn't done no good for the Lord. Other words, the healing was not done out of love. They were doing things to impress other folks in this church. Some was playing plenty of money in the church. Others didn't have as much. They were doing these things in this church. But nothing was out of love in this church. And you know, love is the only way you will know a servant of God. So Paul is saying that this church here does not represent the Lord. You all don't want to spend your life representing the Lord. I wouldn't come to church and not have love. And so Paul had to get kind of hear and explain. And somebody must have asked Paul, now what you talking about? Paul said, well, let me tell you what love is not. Love is not easily provoked. Not quick-tempered. You know, we got Christians now who lay down their religion and pick it up next week. So Paul was saying, now, if you in the church, you don't have to be so quick-tempered. That's right, Mom. Romans 12:18 says, love controls the emotions and never become angry without a cause. And love does not think evil. Love suffers the evil done to it and forgets it. That's in Matthew 5:39. In other words, if you do love wrong, love will just suffer that thing and move on. That's what love will do. And that's what Paul was saying, Because so many of us get hurt in the church and we just leave the church.
Say that, Mama. Glory.
We just walk off and leave.
Mama. Jesus. That's an awesome word.
But that's not love.
Thank you, God.
That's not love. Well, I ask God to give me more love.
Yes.
Every day I'm trying to get more love.
Yes.
When you see me crying,
Yeah.
I'm asking for more love.
Yes.
When you see me praying,
Yes.
I'm asking God for more love.
Yes.
When you see me shouting,
Yes.
I'm asking God for more love.
Yes.
And you ought to ask God to upgrade your love account. Give you that love that runs like the old folks said, that runs from breath to breath. I remember a song that I used to dance by. It said, get on the love train. And they used to play it on Soul Train. Well, I thought about that song last night, and I said I am on that love train. And that love train stops at every avenue. That love train stops in every city. That love train stops in every country. That love train stops at every boulevard. And you really don't need a ticket, because the ticket would fall back on Calvary. All you got to do is step on board. Step on board. Step on board. 2 weeks ago, the love train made a stop here. It picked up Dan Russ. And that love train is running every day. Every day. Be ready to get on that love train. And you're going to have to love everybody to get on that love train. And I can tell you the destination of that train is going to a city where there's no more